There is comfort in repetitive movement. A yogi would say, I am practicing yoga. Perfection is never the goal. The process and what we learn about ourselves along the way is what matters. Stitching is like that. We carefully select our fabric, choose just the right floss, and we gather our tools, the scissors and needles. Then we take a seat in our favorite chair and begin to stitch. The needle goes into the fabric and comes back out. It goes in and comes back out. Stitch by stitch, we make beauty and find comfort as we stitch. What is it with our FlossTube friends today, Arch? Look, wait, say hi to your FlossTube friends. There they are. Hi, everybody. I'm Jackie. This is Archie. Welcome to another episode of Comfort Stitching. Let me let him down. I've got a lot of stuff piled around me. I didn't want him to knock into anything. How are you today? Today is Saturday, December 6th, 2025. And this is my FlossTube episode number 25. And yes, you have found your way to my channel called Comfort Stitching. And it's all about the stitching for me, but welcome. Yeah, cross-stitching is what we're going to talk about today. But since it's so close to the holiday, there might be, a little bit of stuff thrown in that has to do with that. And, like I said, Saturday, December 6th, I live in a very historic town in northwest Missouri. The town's named Weston, just northwest of Kansas City. And today is a big day in town. So if we end up hearing some ambient noise due to that, or if Archie, who is my security detail, and he takes that job very seriously, if he starts barking, hopefully give us some grace. There is, every year on the first full weekend in December, we have a historic homes tour here. And it's usually a candlelight homes tour, so things don't start until later in the day today. But people come to town all the time. And today it's a little bit cloudy, but it's in the low 40s today here. So there'll probably be a lot of people out and about shopping in town today. And since I saw you last, Thanksgiving here in the United States has come and gone. We have had our first major snowstorm kind of blow through the Midwest. One of my sisters who lives in Northwest Illinois, I think they got like 12 or 13 inches of snow there. We were on the very, very south edge of that storm here, and all we got was a little bit of rain. But just a few days later, we had our own little snow blow through here, and so that was our first measurable snow. Saw about 3 or 4 inches of it. It was enough to cause problems. It always does, the first snow of the season for people when they're driving. I grew up driving in Northwest Illinois, so snow doesn't bother me, but always the first one. Everybody has to get their snow wheels underneath them and remember how to drive in that kind of weather. So that has happened since I saw you last. We had some frigid weather blow through, nearly 0-degree Fahrenheit temperatures here. Thankfully, like I said, it's in the low 40s today, so we're warming up a little bit. It was just a little too early for that kind of cold weather, but it was great stitching weather. So I hope you are enjoying your stitching these days. Since I saw you last too, I hosted a Stitch With Me gathering here in town. I live above a wonderful needlework and fiber art store called Florilegium, and I hosted a little event. There were about 21 people, I think, who came, and I'll talk more about that a little bit later. We had a fantastic time, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. I'm looking over here because I have all my things that I want to show you today. Just kind of getting an idea. I do have notes, so because certain things I definitely want to share with you today. But let's get into it. I know a lot of people today are involved in the Jingle Ball. I have not signed up for one of those events that Lindy Stitches puts on yet. They're an online or virtual retreat, and I know a lot of people really, really enjoy them, especially people who maybe can't travel for retreats. It's your opportunity to join with other stitchers and share our love of the hobby. And as well, there's always a lot of exclusive charts that are released then. You've got designers who are there and kind of give presentations, your opportunity to ask questions of people. So a whole lot of fun. The reason I don't or haven't so far gotten involved in it is because I'm not necessarily a holiday stitcher per se. I do have a couple of things to show you today that are holiday related, but I'm just going to do a regular old FlossTube today. I know a lot of people are doing Flossmas, Vlogmas. They're unboxing advent calendars and such, and doing like little short blog style videos every day up until Christmas. So there's plenty of holiday content available for you. And I will even tell you about some of the ones that I've been watching, because I have. But I've just got a regular old FlossTube for you today. Just usual, you know, what have I been working on? I have had a couple of little starts, and a very small start and a finish, but not fully finished yet. I do have a fully finished to show you, and just some progress on like about 3-4 things that I've been working on. So let's just start talking about those. I do have today, I've got this is my Scotland scarf on, my favorite scarf in 2005. So a long time ago, maybe longer than some of you folks have been alive. Which is weird to say. Anyway, I spent 3 weeks in Scotland in May that year. But I bought this scarf there, and I just love it. And it is, of course, wool, but I always have to pull it out this time of year. And I live in a very old building from the late 1850s is when this building was built. Like most old buildings, it's not well insulated, a little drafty. So I decided to put my scarf on today, got my green on, and I do have a holiday mug that I'm having a little bit of water out of. So that's the extent of my holiday. Oh, I told you last time I don't decorate a whole lot, but I did. Sorry, I got a little drop of water there. Put up some, I don't even know if you can see it, but I've got some little bottle brush trees all along that cabinet back there. It's very hard to point when you're filming yourself. Just saying, it's very hard to point. Anyway, so, you know, this is the extent of my holiday for you guys. But I did do a little holiday. I love that little mug. I got it at a shop here in Weston. So I want to start out just by saying, of course, thank you to everybody. If you're here today, thank you. I love it that you keep coming back. If you're new today, thanks for stopping by. I know you have lots of options for ways to spend your time, especially now. So if you're stopping by, just looking for some company to keep yourself company while you stitch, thanks for being here. If I am not the right floss tuber for you, you've got lots of options, so many options. Just like the amount of charts that we have to stitch, such a wide variety, there's a wide variety of people who are doing FlossTube. So, but if you're a returning viewer, thank you. I hope you will like or thumbs up the video today. Consider subscribing, and thank you. Especially, I want to thank the people who were with me last time and commented on that video. First of all, I love the comments. I always feel like we are having an interesting conversation. But I talked a lot last time about how some of my approach to changing colors. I do a lot of color changing in charts and how I kind of approach that. I talked about how I might go about redesigning or altering a chart a little bit. And you guys really enjoyed that. So thank you. I appreciate that. But it also, a couple of you wrote to me and said it really gave you the courage, or maybe helped you feel like you could make a change or two to a color or a part of a chart that you're working on. You're stepping outside your box a little bit and getting brave and trying some of that. So I love hearing that you're doing that, because stitching should be fun and we should stitch things that we enjoy. So if you're not enjoying part of a stitch or a color that's in a chart, called for in a chart, if you can change it and make it more enjoyable for you, please do. There's no cross-stitch police. That's one of the things that I want to impart to you, because when I first learned that, coming back to stitching, there's no cross-stitch police saying you got to do it just the way somebody else decided it should be done. Such freedom to know that you can just make something your own. So anyway, thank you all for the comments and the conversation that we had after that last video. I really appreciate hearing from you and having the give and take that we have after the videos. So I do have a little bit of an update for you before we get into looking at what I've been stitching. In October, early October, I went down to Tulsa, Oklahoma to Shakespeare's Peddler for a midweek retreat with Teresa Vanette of Shakespeare's Peddler. I went to Silver Needle for a midweek retreat with Teresa Vanette of Shakespeare's Peddler. She gave us an exclusive design, as most of those retreats, an exclusive is part of a lot of retreats. And that is still in pre-release status, but I got notification this week from the Silver Needle that the other two designs that the retreat attendants, I was at midweek, retreat, there was a weekend group as well. We each participated in designing a chart with Teresa, and those designs are now ready for you to look at. I don't know that they're shipping them yet. When I looked at the Silver Needle website just last night, they still say pre-order or reserve status, but they're going to be available very soon. And I'm going to put a picture up so you can see them all now. One with the teal blue background is the one that the group of people I was with participated in designing. And the one with the brown background with the fireplace is the one that the weekend group participated in designing. So exciting to see that. So I hope you'll go to the Silver Needle and order your charts. And of course, the one that Teresa gave us, beautiful, beautiful also. So that one's going to be available too. All three of those are exclusive to the Silver Needle for a year. And then they will go on to a wider release. So I'll put a link to the Silver Needle in the show notes below too. So you'll just have a way to get there very easily. So like I said, today I've got stitching, I've been working on, got a fully finish, a brief little start and finish, a start that I've got progress on. I have a giveaway today, so I hope you'll stick around for that. And so I want to start though with a previous finish that is related to the season that we're in. I thought it might be good to show you, it's a freebie, first of all, but I know not everybody celebrates Christmas. Maybe it's just not your season or your holiday. But what I want to show you is a Barbara Anna chart that is very kind of seasonal. And we're still officially in autumn. We haven't come to the beginning of winter yet, but we're going to be there soon. The solstice will happen. And I think this is a good chart to kind of celebrate that. And like I said, it's a freebie. It is Barbara Anna Light. And if you've been here before, you know I really love Barbara Anna charts. So this one I stitched last year. Started it on December 1st of 2024, and I finished it on January 21st of 2025. And here that is. So this design I first saw from Sarah, Sew Me Sarah, and her friend Sally, Sally Sews and Grows. In fact, this color conversion is shared by Sally to me. They were working on it as one of their charts that they did for their 50th birthday, their Fun for 50 celebration. And Sally had put hers on this purple linen. So I got immediately on Instagram and wrote to Sally and said, hey, how do I get that fabric? Will you please send me your conversion? Because I want to be like Sally. I want to do mine just like Sally. So like I said, this one is a free chart from Barbara Anna. I'll put a link below to how you can get that. But it might be something that at this season, when everything around us, in the Northern Hemisphere anyway, is getting days shorter, amount of hours of light shorter, getting into that dark inward season, might be something that you would enjoy stitching. And I'm happy to share the conversion for this with you as well. If you would like that, just email me. My email address is always in the show notes as well. I'd be happy to share that with you too. So that was a previous finish, but that was Light by Barbara Anna. I think it would be a nice one to be working on at this time of year. So my little quick start and finish is something that I kind of redesigned, a design that I made up. And there's a method or a reason for this, but I want to show you. Ready? Ta-da! It's a little Scottie, of course. So obviously not finished. And it's very tiny. I've got a lot of excess fabric. It's really, gosh, only 2.5, 3 inches wide. Isn't he cute? This actually this Scottie came from this chart from Plum Street Samplers. I've had this before I even started stitching again in 2023. I was out looking at charts in a couple of needlework stores in Kansas City, just kind of familiarizing myself with designers and charts and linens and everything. And I saw that and I thought, okay, whoever designed this, now I know Paulette Stewart. At that time I did not know, but whoever designed that Scottie has had a Scottie in their life or they've known a Scottie, because doesn't that look like Archie? I mean, look at the eyebrows. My goodness. Anyway, this is stitched on 40 count linen, the color Eucalyptus by Fox and Rabbit. By the way, my Light also was stitched on 40 count. That linen was from a UK dyer called Fabrics by Crafty Kate. And I don't know if she still has that purple color or not. I think she does. I believe it was called Royal, if you want to look that one up. But anyway, so I made this little guy. It's got elements in it from this chart, like the little flowers that I put beside him are from this chart. But the tiny little flowers up here and that heart are just one. I put those little flowers there. The heart I think I got from Brenda Key's sampler motif book. And let me tell you what this is going to be. This is going to be a little pin pillow. And it's going to be part of a future giveaway that I will do once I reach a subscriber milestone, which I'm very close to. So I don't want to belabor that point, but I'm nearly at 10K. 10K, wow. Anyway, I've got a giveaway planned, and this will be part of it, so you'll get a little of my stitching. But anyway, that's my little Archie, who will be a pin pillow for some lucky person. And next, I had another new start and some progress. Let me pull it over here. This one I have in a red and white bag. I've kind of made it be a Christmas bag. I do have a Christmas bag, an actual Christmas project bag coming from my friend Sarah at Penelope's Pocket. It spent a little time in Chicago after it reached, got over here from the UK, and customs hung onto it in Chicago for a while. It's now coming to me, but until then, I've got a makeshift Christmas bag. This was one, happened to be a gift from my friend Sarah, Semi Sarah. But last time we were together, I mentioned a chart that I was wanting to start, and I think it showed up in my mailbox like 2 days after I filmed. So this is an Artful Offerings chart called Chili Cardinals. And once I got it here, I immediately started on it. But I immediately started redesigning it because, as one of my sisters said, because of course you did, Jackie. No, when I first saw this, I told you last time, Cardinals will forever and always remind me of my mom and my dad and my grandma and grandpa, all bird watchers, but all who are passed away now. But my mom loved cardinals, especially at this time of year when they're one of the bright rays of color in an otherwise dreary landscape. But when I saw this, I immediately, in my mind, saw it become a little bit wider rather than taller. And so I decided to redesign it a little bit. And I can't show you the full redesign, but just know as we go along, you'll see it. I just added another tree here and another tree here. I will talk about a couple of other things that I've redesigned as I show this to you. And I wanted to get a start on this because I actually started working on it in earnest at the Stitch With Me Day. So if you were there, I've got a lot more progress, but here's what I've got so far. And Chili Cardinals. You can see I've made one of the cardinals into a female cardinal. Here's one of the extra trees I've put in. And see how the numbers are on the bottom there? I moved them to the top and changed them to be white. And as I go along, what you'll also see is I moved this border to the bottom as sort of the grounding element for this. And the reason I changed the numbers to white is because all throughout this design, mixed in with the snowflakes, is an alphabet. So it's kind of samplery and, reminiscent of a sampler with the alphabets. So I thought, why not put the numbers up at the top and in white so that they become part of the sky, so to speak. I'm using mostly the called for colors, but I've changed a couple. Like my sister says, because of course you do, Jackie. So these are the colors I'm using. Mostly DMCs, those are called for. I'm using the called for reds, the called for color for the snow and the base of the trees. I pulled a couple of colors to make my little female cardinal. For that, I used 834 DMC on the breast of the cardinal, and I used Gentle Arts burlap, and I kind of fussy cut that in order to get the color for her body. I fussy cut it because I didn't want a lot of variegation. I'll just say that. There's some in this, but I didn't want a lot because all of the rest of the colors are DMC. And then the fabric I'm using is 40 count Brenda's Brew by R&R Reproductions. And the two called for greens were a little bit lighter than the ones I chose, and they were similar enough value to the background that I didn't feel like they stood away from it enough, that they were distinct enough. So I just pulled a couple of other greens. I've got an Anchor 924 and DMC 936 are my greens. I love this. This chart has become my comfort stitching over the last couple of weeks, I will tell you, because I've had a very kind of busy and chaotic couple of work weeks. I'm training somebody new, and so I'm not doing my usual daily tasks. I'm not at my own computer station because the new person is using my computer. I'm having to, I'm running around a lot, answering a lot of questions, talking about the day-to-day tasks of doing the job of being a teller at a bank to this person. So it's just requiring my brain to work in a little different way than it does on a daily basis. So I don't have a lot of brain power left when I get home to work on something that's a little more complex. And so this has been what I've been working on, hence the amount of progress on it. So I've really been enjoying this, and it's a fun stitch. And because it's got some fairly graphic shapes, it actually goes along kind of quickly. Now, one of the other things I'm going to be doing slightly different from this when I get to finishing is probably adding some sequins. And that is because at the Stitch With Me Day at Florilegium, my friend Renee, who is Prairie Stitcher 515 on Instagram, some of you met her in Contented Needleworker Kim's, one of her most recent videos. But Renee was here. She and I have become really good friends. And she brought a Brenda Gervais chart or stitch with her, one of the seasonal swans. And instead of stitching snowflakes in the background of that, she put some snowflake-shaped sequins. And I thought, wow, that would add a really nice kind of touch of sparkle and brightness to this chart. So Renee was generous enough to send me some of those sequins. And there are different sizes and different finishes of them. I hope you can see them. I think you can. And so when I finally get around to working more in the snowflakes, I might put some of those sequins in. So right now I'm adding in the largest snowflakes just for placement, and I'll put in all of the letters, and then I will determine where I might want to put sequins, and then I'll pop in some of the smaller snowflakes, because there's a few different designs of snowflakes in this chart. So that's how I'm going to change that up a little bit. And eventually this will become just a little pillow that I'm going to put on my couch, which is right over here. And it'll just be a nice little seasonal design that I can bring out and remind me of my mom and my dad and my grandma and grandpa and all of the memories that go along with the holidays from when we were growing up. Holidays are really weird when you don't have your parents around, or if you're one of those people, maybe it's not weird for you. I don't know. I don't want to tell you what the holidays are like for you. Holidays, days focused on, parents. We all have different relationships or had different relationships with parents. And based on those experiences, a holiday comes around and your experience of the holiday could be affected. So I don't have kids. Neither of my sisters or brother have kids. So our Christmas was always based on going to Illinois and spending that with mom and dad. So when both of them passed away, Dad passed away in 2020, early COVID. Not of COVID, but I just remember it. It was in the early COVID pandemic. And then my mom passed away a couple of years later. So, you have to after your reason for, celebrating in the way that you do or always have, after that's gone, you kind of have to redefine what are the holidays going to look like. And I think I'm still defining what that is. because going back to Illinois, although one of my sisters and her husband are there, still living in our family home, there's always weather that you have to be concerned about. And you're either going to get snowed in or worried about driving. I'm telling you, driving across Iowa around Christmas time is always an iffy venture or adventure because there's always weather that goes through the middle of Iowa, and that's the way I have to go to get there. So we've all kind of done our own things for the holidays in the last few years and tried to get together at other times of the years when weather is maybe not going to be such a thing that you have to concern yourself about. So holidays become kind of quiet for me, sometimes spent with friends. Sometimes it's just me and Archie. And when I tell people that at work, they're like, oh, you should come over to my house. Or, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. We would have invited you over. And I'm actually totally okay spending a holiday with my own company. It's usually happens, in the middle of the week. It's a day off work for me. It's nice. And I like to, because I don't have kids, I like to allow my coworkers who do have children to maybe get the day before or the day after off. I can work for those holidays or for those days off, and allow people who do have families or spend their time with their children or extended families who might be coming here, for instance. I like to give them the opportunity to do that and take my time at other times of the year. So a day off works for me. I like to, I'll plan like a nice meal and connect with family members or friends. But my new normal right now for holidays are just me and Archie, and having the luxury to have a day off from the work. And it's always busy at holiday times, prior to holiday times. So I like having just the time to reflect. If you've been here before, I'm kind of an introverted, reflective type of person. So I just take that opportunity to just enjoy the day as it may arise and arrive. So anyway, that is Chili Cardinals. So I think I'm going to go just briefly here because I started that so I would have something to work on at the Stitch With Me Day that we did at Florilegium. So let me talk about that just briefly here. We celebrated actually a year of doing the Stitch With Me days. I started the very first one on October 19th of 2024 at Florilegium in Weston, Missouri. It's a beautiful space. I have a tour of the shop that's in my videos if you ever want to see that, and I would recommend it because there's no way I can adequately describe what Florilegium looks like or feels like when you're in it. It's kind of a magical place, full of color, full of inspiration. There is yarn, there is hand-dyed ribbon, there is overdyed silk flosses. The owners of the store, Fred and Gretchen. Gretchen is kind of the mastermind here. Fred is along and contributing in the ways that Fred can. They have just really created a unique space, a unique store that's been in various places over the store's time in existence. But for the last several years, maybe 10 now or more, it's been in Weston. It actually might be 15. I'll have to ask her. It's been in Weston. It's been a place that I haven't always lived above, but I've always gone to. And so Gretchen and I are friendly, of course. And anyway, how this started, these Stitch With Me days, I kind of wanted just some people to stitch with. in the Kansas City area, there are a couple of needlework shops that are about an hour plus away from me. Quilter's Station is one that you've probably heard of. The other one is called CC, the initials CC and Company. And Quilter Station does a monthly, has a monthly stitch group, but there was nothing that was available in the more northern part of Kansas City. So I just thought, surely there are stitchers that live north of the Missouri River. That's kind of a dividing line. In Kansas City, we call it north of the river or south of the river. And so I just decided I wanted to see if I could gather some people together to stitch with. And Gretchen offered the space. She has a couple of rooms in her store that are spaces where people can have workshops or just a creative space if you want to get together with some friends and spend a few hours there. That's available if you want to do that. And so the first one, I just put it out on social media. I think I put it on Instagram that I was going to do this. And people came from Kansas City and beyond to stitch with me, which I was flabbergasted at. And I think we've done 4, maybe 5 of these now. And people still come. Local people, thankfully, that was my original intention. But people from other states come too. I've had people from Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan, Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, obviously. Somebody came up from Texas. I think so far that's the states that have been involved. But the fact that people would come and, travel such a long distance to stitch with me still surprises me. But that very first one will still, of course, be special because it was the first one. And one of the ladies who's been at all of them, she comes down from Omaha. Her name is Ina. Hi, Ina. She brought some balloons to celebrate, and we had just a full day of stitching together. It's not really a retreat per se, but it's just an opportunity to stitch with other people of like mind and who love to share about what they're doing. And since quite a few of the people who have come to this have come to more than one, they have developed friendships outside of those Stitch With Me days. And we also had plenty of opportunity this time because people were dealing with seasonal colds and for whatever reason were canceling at the last minute, gave other people the opportunity to come. I'm limited to about 25 people that can do this just because of space. So I just talk about it on my channel here or on Instagram when I'm going to host one of these. I look for a time that there's not a conflict going on here in this town that I live in that's a touristy town that has a lot of activities. So anyway, just an opportunity to stitch together. And I will put a little slideshow at the end of this. But I can just say, you need to get together if you don't already with other people who love stitching as much as you do. Because there's nothing like just sitting and stitching and laughing and talking, or being quiet for that matter, with other people who are the same, who love it the same way you do, who experience stitching in a similar way to what you do. I had this time Roberta and Linny, the Sable Stitchers, came. I've invited them all along the way. They have wanted to come, but for whatever reason, one or the other of them always had a conflict. They couldn't come for, Linny's husband sometimes he has some health issues, and it's just her life. And so she could come, she couldn't come. Roberta travels a lot. But anyway, they both were here this time. It was so great to get to spend a little time with them. I'd met Roberta a couple of times at Sampler Symposium. I'd met Linny once, just we crossed paths at Quilter's Station one time when I was there shopping, and I happened to be there the day they were having their stitch group, so I met Lenny there. But I hadn't had an opportunity to chat with them very much, so it was wonderful to get to know them a little bit better. And Lori Wilson, who has she's a designer and has a company called Thread Milk Designs. She has come to the last few. She moved, I'm going to say it was 6 or 8 months ago, just about a half an hour, 40 minutes north of here. And so she has come. It has helped her get to know people in the more local stitching community. She's been at every one. Renee has come down from Iowa for every one of them. I told her I sort of consider her my unofficial co-host because, I mean, she just takes care of everybody. She knows everybody. And she comes down a day early and we just have some girl time together, and she helps me kind of get the room ready and prepared. This time, unfortunately, Gretchen wasn't able to be with us, the owner of the shop. Her husband, Fred, took care of us and took care of us so well. They put out snacks and keep us well fed and making sure that we have everything that we need. Couldn't be a better experience for people. We had a couple of tables that we had an opportunity for people to bring some finishes or things that they have that were in progress that they wanted to share. So there was lots of stitching inspiration. It was just a really wonderful day. And thankfully we had a good weather day that day. The day before was very rainy and not nice at all, but the day of the stitch day, it was sunny and warm, and the rooms that we stitch in, there are so many windows, the light just comes in. I mean, you guys, it just is such an amazing experience. And just because I had an idea that I wanted to stitch with some people. So we will definitely do it again in 2026, sometime in the spring, because from here on into the spring, even though in Missouri, it's not necessarily a lot of snow or cold, but you just never know. And I certainly don't want people to drive here and put themselves in any sort of a risk to get here. So it's just easier now to wait until the spring. And we'll resume Stitch with Me. And it's not just Stitch with Me. It's whoever comes. I'm stitching with you. You're the me. I'm stitching with you. And I love it. So anyway, thank you all for supporting that, those of you who have and continue to. And I'm glad I got to start those Cardinals and just had such a great time. So thank you. I got so many gifts. Thank you guys. I do not need gifts. I know I hear other people who do FlossTube and go to retreats, they're always getting gifts. And you know, it's wonderful. Thank you. I do the same when I meet somebody. I don't need them, but I can't possibly say thank you to each person individually. So I'm going to put a picture up here. So if you're a person who gave me something that's in that picture, thank you. Thank you. So much beauty and thoughtfulness there. Thank you. Just thank you. So with that, I got to fully finish during that time. Look who's here. Harriett, my one and only animal cracker so far. One of the people who comes to the Stitch Days and who I've been blessed to get to know through that is Joy, finisher extraordinaire. And she took care of Harriett for me. Like, beautiful. There's a sweet little rose pin there. And these vintage Lily of the Valley. That's like some vintage millinery flowers. Now I asked Joy to do that specifically for me because once again, it's a reminder of my grandma. And as much as I talk to her, I guess you would realize that I love my grandma very much. And a lot of special memories with, this would be my mom's mom, and a lot of special memories with her and grandpa, for that matter. Spent every Saturday with them. But grandma had a patch of lily of the valley that, oh, I don't know, it must have been like 3 or 4 feet wide, that grew in a ring around a pine tree in her front yard. And whenever the lily of the valley were blooming, I would go out and just plunk myself down at the base of the tree and just pick handfuls of lily of the valley. And Joy had shown a finish that she had done for someone else that had these on it. And I immediately wrote to her and I said, Joy, do you have more of those? I'm working on an animal cracker right now, and I would love for you to finish her, and she needs to be holding those. So that's just for my grandma. And Joy put this really cute little lavender, iridescent lavender heart. Isn't she great? So this was stitched on 40 count linen, the color Grass Stain by Teresa Vanette, Shakespeare's Peddlers, her sons who do the linen dyeing. That's one of theirs. And then Joy found a really nice kind of gray purple fabric to match. And so, I mean, it's hard to gauge the proportions of this, but she's about 6 inches tall. She's a lot smaller than I thought she was going to be, but she's perfect for my to accompany my stitching box. Anyway, I love her. Thank you, Joy and Harriett, Animal Cracker. The other thing that I got at the Stitch With Me Day that I do want to call out, and a special thanks to and for, is to my friend Gwen. Now, I mentioned to you in October that Gwen invited, she's from Kansas City. She comes to all the Stitch With Me days. A lot of people know Gwen. She invited me to her house to show me some of her antique needlework and some of the things that she stitches. And she has a really amazing collection of needlework notions, thimbles and tape measures and all sorts of needles and pins and, you know, all of that kind of stuff, the kind of stuff we love if we like needlework in any way, shape, or form. And Gwen knew that I had been looking for a tape measure to put in my stitching box. It's up there on my table. It's open up there on my table. And she was showing me her collection of antique tape measures. And I was telling her, oh my gosh, it's so great to see these in person, because I've been looking at them online on eBay. And again, you just have no idea. I mean, it might tell you how big something is, but it's hard to imagine, you know, what it's like in real life. And anyway, so I was really glad to see all of them. And Gwen emailed me maybe a week or more after I had visited her, and she said, please don't buy one. I've decided I want to gift you with one of my tape measures, and I'll bring it to the Stitch With Me Day. So she was going to surprise me with which one she chose. And this is the one she chose. It's this amazing little celluloid basket of fruit. It's really only like slightly over an inch in diameter and just under an inch tall. She was really keeping my box in mind, that it would fit in there and that the box could close and be zipped. And it is a tape measure. Isn't that cool? It's on a spring, so it just goes back in there. Still works. I love it. Just perfect. So thank you to Gwen for that. And another lovely addition to my stitching box. So anyway, just a wonderful, wonderful time at the Stitch With Me Day. And just it's such a gift just to be with friends, let alone getting amazing gifts and things from them. And I will say, Harriet, not a gift. It was a gift that Joy did it for me. But I contracted with her, as you do when you have somebody finish something for you. You want to compensate them for their time. So it's, but she brought it that day, so I do feel like it was a gift of the Stitch Day. So, like I said, I'll put a little slideshow together at the end today of pictures of that day for those of you who want to see that kind of thing. And let's move on to what else I have been stitching. So after I saw you last, I spent some time with my Beatrix Potter Quaker sampler, and I just did the last couple of days too. So I'm going to show you that next. This is the Beatrix Potter Quaker sampler. This is by Stitchy Box. Now this is available either in a paper chart or a PDF download. I've been working on this since New Year's Eve of 2024, and I am using my own floss collection of old gold colors of floss. And let me show you where I'm at with this. So last time we were together, I was working in the bottom order. I had just started that motif right there. So I finished that up. I finished the one next to it, and you can see I've started that one. So once I get this one done right there, I will have now made it all the way around, and we'll have just that lower line of motifs to fill in. So I do have, the reason I decided to go ahead now and finish this, because I've just kind of been working my way down, but I've got a couple of counting errors in here, which, I mean, not that big a deal when you have so much space around motifs. But since I was getting to the bottom, I wanted to make sure I'm filling in my space well, and not just necessarily counting exactly the chart. Now, these are not big counting errors that I've got, a stitch here, a row there, but I just felt like I wanted to get the perimeter now established and then put those other motifs in. Like I said, I started this on New Year's Eve. New Year's Day, I was going to be doing some traveling, and I was with friends on New Year's Eve. So it became a thing that I did when I was with friends. And unfortunately, I don't get to spend New Year's Eve with those same friends this year. We have for years and years and years been together on New Year's Eve. But one of them, her grandson decided to get married on New Year's Eve this year. So, I mean, how dare he? But, I mean, how wonderful for him. But it's going to prevent us from being together. So what I've decided to do, I'm going to really focus on this between now and New Year's Eve. I don't know if I'll finish, maybe, but I had decided early on that the personalization in this, there are different initials, of course, in any Quaker sampler, but there are some initials in here, and there are places in here. What I'm going to do is stitch my friend's initials in this, and mine too, but because we were all together when I started it, and I think it will be a great way to celebrate them, whether or not we can be together. One of them I might get to spend time with. We haven't planned it yet, because she spends a lot of time in, sorry about that glare in my glasses. She spends a lot of time out west as a camp cook and trail cook, and she's been traveling home, I think, yesterday or today. So I may get to spend some holiday time with her, but I'll definitely spend holiday time with them all with this. I am stitching this Beatrix Potter sampler on 46 count fabric. This is a color called Moonshadow by Seraphim. It's a lovely color, just slightly off-white, sort of vanilla-y, I like to say, but it's become one of my favorite fabrics. And I love the way the stitches look on this. I'm using a combination of DMC over-dried cotton, and I even have some silks on here. In fact, this one I'm started right here is a dinky dye silk called Cobar. But they're all playing well together, and on this 46 count fabric, the stitches are just kind of sitting on top of the fabric and kind of look like little beads on there. I like it. I like it a lot, and getting near to being complete with that. This has been, working on this Beatrix Potter sampler has been a really fun journey. It is my first and definitely won't be my last Quaker sampler. But we've been, if you've been here, and if you haven't, I invite you to go back and watch other videos because I love the history of the reproduction samplers that I work on, and we've been learning more about Quaker samplers as I've gone along with this, and I've been sharing that with you. I've been reading or watching documentaries, learning more about Beatrix Potter and her contribution to helping preserve a particular breed of sheep in the area of England where she lived, and the land that her home is on was deeded to the National Trust over there, so she preserved acres and acres of land for the people of Great Britain. So anyway, it's been a really fun project, and I know I'll miss it when I'm done. Not there yet, so I'm not going to prematurely start missing it, but it's just been a fun project for a variety of reasons. So that is the Beatrix Potter sampler. I think I worked on that, well, I kind of alternated on that and the Cardinals up until Thanksgiving. Again, as I said, things were kind of crazy at work and have remained that way. And I then switched to a French sampler that we talked a lot about in my last video because of my angst over the threads I was using and the colors I was using. And this sampler is a beautiful, beautiful French sampler called Lea Letourneur by Reflets de Soie. And the called for threads on this were all Auvert Soie, Soie d'Alger silks. And I don't have access to those to be able to see them anywhere. So naturally, like a lot of people, and not to mention silks are kind of spendy, I started out with the DMC conversion, and I was not having a good experience. So I made the decision to invest in the Soie d'Alger silks, and that's what we were talking a lot about the last time. And I kind of did a bit of a restart on this with the Soie d'Alger silks, and I am much, much happier with my result. And the style of sampler this is based on the Berlin woolwork style, I would say, but you see a lot of French samplers that are very floral, heavy, with a lot of confetti stitching to create three-dimensional look, light, shadow, shape, so forth. So this is not something that I can do. Maybe you can, but not something I can do when my brain is tired. I have to be fresh. I have to be in the mood for it to be able to really concentrate and to get, I have a different experience of stitching when I'm working on this. One that I still enjoy very, very much, but I have to be in the right frame of mind. And because of what's been going on around me and at work and stuff, I haven't been in the that right frame of mind for very long since I saw you last. With all that said, I have made progress. So here is where I'm at on Lea Letourneur. I'm hoping you can see that. My light is just not the best today. Again, we've got an overcast day here, but the silks, hopefully they're shining a little bit, even in the overcast, because boy, howdy, in person, do they glow. And it's another reason why I really am glad that I switched to the silks. And I didn't know I was going to have such a different experience stitching with these. Soie d'Alger, up until I got them for this, I had never experienced before. So there was a little slight learning curve to them. I'm stitching on 46 count fabric again. That looks really pretty there. And this is a color and cotton fabric linen called Treasure Map. It's a little warmer in person than it's coming across on screen. But I'm really, really loving how these silks are looking on this linen. Oh, by the way, Color and Cotton next year, it's going to start up their linen club again. And I got a spot. Oh, I'm so excited. I've never participated in a linen or thread club before. And I think it's a bi-monthly thing, but I will be getting a new piece of linen from them, so I'll be able to share that with you, which I'm really pleased about. Anyway, Lea Letourneur, we've been having a good time. Let me show you these gorgeous threads. Now, in my project bag, I'm keeping them in a plastic bag because they're already slightly fuzzy compared to some other silks that I've had. And I don't want them to get all ratty. I know some people put their silks in floss away bags. Personally, I'm not a floss away bag fan. So I just decided when I'm stitching with them, they're out here right next to my stitching chair. But when I'm not stitching with them and they're in the project bag, which by the way, this is a Penny and Tunny bag. Birds and flowers, appropriate. I just keep them in a plastic Ziploc inside that project bag. But just some gorgeous, gorgeous colors. Now one of the reasons I stopped where I did, I put the letter A in there. You can see maybe that there's a little flower at the top of it, right up there. It is a cream. In fact, the color is just called creme. And it's in certain lights, it's really ghosting. So I stopped because obviously I'm going to have to change that. I know some people are okay with ghosting. I'm not. I like to see my stitches, especially on something like this, because it's just going to look like there was, if you look at it from away, it's just going to look like there are holes in that A. Why are there holes in that A? So I, again, not having access to Soie d'Alger threads, I had to take a leap, but I went on the 123 Stitch website and just typed in Soie d'Alger, and so I was able to scroll through the palette of colors available, and I ordered what looked to be the different whites, because I wasn't sure what was going to show up on this linen. So I got 3 different whites, and you actually can see that they're different there. So obviously I got Blanc. That is just the white. I got Blanc Optique. I wasn't sure what that was going to be. And then I found this other one that is number 1810. It's got, you can see it's got a slightly green-gray cast to it. I think some of that is coming off my green shirt today. And I haven't decided yet because I need light and good light in order to do it. But you can see on there, they might just be a little bit better. One of those, probably one of the whites, to use for those little flowers than the cream is. And then I noticed one other color in this palette was near ghosting as well. It was very close to the background color. So I just got a few others that I might swap out, and this really pretty peachy color. All part of, or similar to this palette of colors. So one of the other things I wanted to share that I was doing with my floss on this one, because I've used just some bobbins that I had. I don't generally put my floss on tags, but since these come as skeins, it's easier to put them on tags and cut them. And since there are so many colors in this chart, I think I counted there were 34 different colors. And again, these are all ones that I'm unfamiliar with. They have numbers, not names. But like I've become familiar with some of the overdyed cottons, what their names are, and I can pick them out of a lineup. But these, I have no idea. All of this is new to me. And since there are so many colors, what I decided to do, I know some people do this on their charts, but this is my first time doing it. I decided to put the symbol, the chart symbol, along with the number. I put that on my my little bobbin thread thing. So up in the corner, you can see I've put what the symbol is. Now, once I'm done with this chart, that symbol will become irrelevant. And so I just put it on a little piece of masking tape that I can peel off of there later, because hopefully I'll have stash after this. But I did that on all my colors. They've got the symbol for each of the colors. So when I'm looking through this ring, when I'm looking for the color I want, I'm actually looking at the corner where I have the symbol. And that's been really helpful to me as I've been having to pull thread from this rainbow of beautiful colors. So just throwing that out there in case that would be something that might be beneficial to you too, if you're working on this one or another chart that has a lot of different colors that you're switching out. The symbol might be helpful. So once again, that is Lea Letourneur. Ooh, I'm gonna get some sun maybe again. Last time it was overcast. Last time I filmed, it was overcast too and the sun came out. So anyway, that's my Lea Letourneur. I'm getting ready. This is nearly the far left corner. I've got the flower border now starts right there. So I haven't made it totally across the top. Getting there. But I just wanted to get an alphabet in. Wanted to see what the style of the letters looked like. Really enjoying that. I hope if you've got Lea, you're enjoying her too. I've had a couple of you write to me and say that you had struggled with some of the colors also and made the decision to invest in the Soie d'Alger's, and we're happy you did. I don't want to imply that there's anything wrong with the DMC conversion. It just wasn't working for me, and making the choice to get the Soie d'Alger's was the right choice for me. So that is that. I'm not sure when I'm going to pick her back up again. Like I said, my plans for between now and the rest of the year, I'm not too sure, but I will spend a lot of time with Beatrix Potter, I think. And one other chart that I've worked on since I saw you last, and that is a patriotic, American Patriotic stitch that I'm doing. I've got this also in a bag very similar to that red one I showed you. I think this is Lori Holt fabric. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. That looks like stitching. And I had this blue fob that someone had gifted me at one time. So this is my red, white, and blue stitching bag. I'm stitching on Plum Street Samplers America 250. Now this unfortunately is not widely available yet. This was a exclusive to the attendees of summer school at the Attic in August of this year. And generally the rule of thumb is that charts that were exclusives will be released a year later. There's some chatter that this might come out early, but I don't have any definitive information on that yet. This is on loan to me from a friend. I did not attend that event, but I had several friends who did, and one of them offered to loan this to me. So that's how I come to have it. So let me show you my progress on this. I've worked on this quite a bit since I saw you last too. So obviously I started in the upper left. I'm working my way through the left portion of this sampler right now. And I'm stitching mine on 40 count. The linen is Affogato, and that is by Fiber on a Whim. It's not the called for linen. The called for linen is called Smoky Quartz, also by Fiber on a Whim. I had a piece of that, but it was far more gray than I was interested in stitching on. I wanted something that looked a little more antique-y and parchmenty and weathered looking, so that's why I chose this fabric. It was something I had in my stash. Now, since I saw you last, I have put in folding to all of this right in here and that. So this will become a flag. There's a lot of these motifs that are within this. Some of these bigger ones have flags from different states, and this one happens to be a British flag that goes in there that all had something to do with the American Revolution. And there's a lot of top stitching in them to get them to then become the flag. So I'm going to wait till I've got much of the stitching done to do the top stitching in this. But anyway, that's my progress on America 250. I'm using some of the called for colors, some I'm swapping out. The called for are a mixture of DMC and overdyes. And that's what I'm doing, a mixture of DMC and overdyes. And I'm swapping out a few colors for a couple of color and cotton colors, some NPIs. So I've talked about that before, so I'm not gonna bore you with those details again. But are you all watching, those of you in the United States, are you all watching or have you watched the PBS documentary, Revolutionary War, that Ken Burns did? I've watched a few episodes of that while I'm stitching. Now, it's not really a time period that I resonate a lot with, but it's certainly this resonates with this design. And I think as we work our way up to this significant anniversary, the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, I think it's worthwhile to know our history. Knowing history helps us know why we are where we are and helps inform us. Sometimes we are doomed to repeat some things, just saying. And sometimes it helps us make different decisions. So, yeah. Oh, I was going to say, this is where the boat goes. I've got the boat started. And it's comprised of like 3 different floss colors. I guess it's going to end up looking a little camouflagey, but it's kind of odd, really. But I love the water here. It's got 4 colors making up those kind of medallion shapes. Really pretty. I do love the colors that are in this. So America 250 by Plum Street Samplers. 40 count Affogato. It's actually, that's one of my favorite colors of linen too. I've come to find out. I've got a couple of things that I'm stitching on this color. It's right up there with, well, I think as I said before, all our charts are our favorites for a variety of reasons. The linens become our favorites just simply because other colors look really good on certain linen colors. So it's nice. that's my stitching. That's my stitching. So let me look at my notes here. I guess I'm going to go into my stash, or might now start calling it additions to my supply library. I told you guys that I used to work at Hallmark Cards, and we actually did have a supply library there. It was awesome. It was like being able to walk into an art supply store any time of the day. You could choose what you needed to do the project you were working on, whether it was paint or you needed a different kind of paper, colored pencils, ink, pens. You could look at books in there. There was a book library too, but the supply library was really like the most amazing art supply store ever. And you would pick out what you needed to do the project you were working on. There was a lady who did a checkout, the librarian, the supply librarian, and she just took a list of what you were taking back to your department, and then it was billed back to the department. So it was very cool. I actually still have kind of a lot of art supplies that come from that time. And I left there in 1992. So colored pencils never expire. I've got a lot of markers that I had from that time and from my work with Mary Englebright. They haven't dried out yet. Paints that I had back then, you know, keep the lids on them. They haven't totally dried out. They might be a little drier than I would prefer, newer ones. But anyway, let me pull over some things that I've added to my stash. First of all, I'm just going to go quickly back to my Stitch With Me day. I usually make something for the people who are going to be there. I didn't have time to actually physically make something, but I did get some floss drops made. So these were my gifts to everybody, along with some candy. But what I did for these was took a little photograph of the lower left-hand corner. I'm looking because the samplers are right over there on the wall. This is the lower left-hand corner of my version of Consider the Lilies. And I had them printed in some just square rounded corner tags. I got them on Vistaprint. I know there are a lot of websites that will print tags for people. And anyway, that's what I gave out to people. I love how those turned out. I might have to start floss tagging things. So that is a little addition to my stash. I am friends with and love the Anna, who has the channel Stitch Roadies. I had the pleasure to stay with her and her friend Sarah, who works at Acorns and Threads out in Portland. I was roommates with them at Sampler Symposium in January of this year, and I just love Anna. She influenced me, as our favorite floss tubers often do. We're influencers. They're influencers. She was showing an amazing pair of scissors. These are by the Scissorist, and I've seen them advertised too. They're called, I think they call them the Moonflower scissors because of this really beautiful little gold flower on them. And what Anna liked about them, she kept talking about the large finger holes, and they are large. And so for me, there was a little bit of, I had to practice really. How was I going to hold these? Because I was using some small Bowen scissors. And these are similar length. I'm going to guess maybe these are 3.5 inches, no more than 4 at the most. But the holes are much bigger than the ones I was using. So the way I have to hold these to snip with them is kind of like this I'm showing you. A little different, but I do like them. They're metal all around. They have really amazing sharp blades and cutting action. Love them. They're my new favorite scissors. So these are by the Scissorist. You can find them online, but I got mine from Acorns and Threads. You want to give them some business. I have a piece of linen to show you next that I've added to my stash. This is a piece of linen from Be Stitch Me. Now, I have not stitched on their linen before. I have a couple of pieces of it, but I follow them on Facebook and their page on Facebook, and they had mentioned in a post on Facebook that they had some linen, like ready to ship linens, some of their sampler colors. So I just got right on the website and got a piece. This is called Not Another Sampler. This is 46 count. You can see that it does have some modeling to it. Now, Stitch Me fabrics as a whole have some pretty distinctive modeling. So this is along that order, but it's subtle too. It's a little more distinct than some people might like for a sampler, but it's really one of those that's going to give you a very antique kind of weathered-y look. And I pulled some DMC floss to give you an idea of the color. So the overall color, here, let me put the 3 that I pulled here. The overall color is actually quite close to this one, 3033. I would say that's close to the background. So this is reflecting from the sunlight. The linen is absorbing light. That's why they're not totally the same, but I can trust me, they're similar. And then there's that distinct modeling is kind of a brown, but there's some pink to it too. So I pulled DMC 3864 and 3064 as some of the colors that are in the modeling. So that's Stitch Me, Not Another Sampler. It's a very nice color. I'm looking forward to finding just the right project on that. And like I said, this is 46 count. 40 and above are my counts of choice. I'm finding that I really like 46 count quite a bit. So that's why I got that one. I've added quite a bit to my charts since we've seen each other last, my chart library. When I ordered the Chili Cardinals, I got that from Country Sampler. And I also got this chart from Artful Offerings from Country Sampler as well. It's called the Songbird Sampler. And the reason I got this one specifically, well, not only because it's pretty, but Country Sampler had their own conversion of this, which I've seen done by a guy named Peter, who has a FlossTube channel called Oh For Pete's Sake. He did the Country Sampler version, and I really liked it. It's more like warmer tones than this picture, and I wanted to do that. So if that's something that interests you, you'd want to get that from Country Sampler. They have that available. Either call them or it's on their website. Another chart that I was very excited to get, I branded Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread, called Winterberries and Pine. This is a hot commodity because I think the only place you can get this is on her website, Country Stitches Online. Now at one point, might have been last year or the year before, it's copyrighted 2023, but she had kits and some people were stitching this. And they, of course, sold out so quickly, as almost anything that Brenda does. Everybody wants it. And I had just been stalking her website, hoping that either the kit or the chart would be available again. And I think about 2.5 weeks ago, you know, this is how inspiration works sometimes. I kept seeing this. You know how Pinterest, if you're on Pinterest, they send you daily things that they think you might like. This kept showing up in that, and I thought, oh, okay, I'm seeing this a lot. I wonder if it's for sale right now. So I just decided to follow my intuition and go see, and sure enough, it was there. Now I looked yesterday, it's out of stock again. But watch her website if this is something you might like, and Winterberries and Pine. And I'm not going to stitch this year, I know, because of just other things that I'm already involved in, but I probably will next year. And I'm thinking about doing a color and cotton conversion, thread conversion for this. In fact, I've already pulled some colors just because I got so excited about it when I got this. So that is Winter Berries and Pine with Thy Needle and Thread. And then I've got a few charts that I downloaded as PDFs. So I watch, and I hope you do too, Hanneke, the Dutch stitcher. She has a couple of new-ish or new releases available on her Etsy shop. And one of them was a red alphabet sampler, and I'm a sucker for a red alphabet sampler. So that's this one right here. Georgina Dermine, 1900. So that's available from Hanneke, a Dutch stitcher. I'll put links in the description box. PDF download. I also, on social media, follow the designer Couleur Tourtrelle. It's Miriam Chauvette. She's been moving a lot of her designs to be available as downloads on Etsy. And she's been posting them, and she posts a lot of her antique samplers and what she's working on Facebook. So a lot of eye candy. But she's been moving a lot of her charts to be available now on Etsy as well. And I got this one. I got two from her. I got this one right here. Summer 1895. Look at that alphabet with the flowers, the beautiful butterflies. Again, these are just color copies that I got from my local copy store. That is going to be fun to stitch. Summer 1895. What I like about Miriam's charts, when she knows or has information about the history, she includes that too. So when you print out the chart, you get some information. And then I got one other one from Couleur Tourtrelle. I'm not a French speaker, as if you didn't know. One other one from her, it's a red sampler, because again, I'm a sucker for a red sampler. I got this one called Hortense de Frocourt, 1887. That's going to be fun to stitch too. And when I was watching, I had this and had it on my radar. And when I was watching that episode I mentioned of Contented Needleworker Kim, where she's at Renee's house and stitching with Renee, they were walking around the house showing off some of Renee's beautiful work. And Renee had this one done. So it was nice to see that complete. So sorry about the noise. I want to get things back in a bag. So those are my library stitches. Where do we go next? I have just a couple more things to show you before we're finished today. I got an amazing bag from a friend that I want to share with you. So I have a friend that I've known since my Hallmark days, and she loves to sew. She's a great sewer. She does punch needle. She's not a cross stitcher. She does punch needle. Her name is Jeannie. A year ago, I showed you this bag that she made me. This is a what is it? Poppins Bag. Gosh, I just had a brain blip. I'm going to get to my notes here and try and remind me, and then it popped into my head. A Poppins Bag. And from Annie's 2 is the name of it. Anyway, she made this for me. And I had really hoped that it might be a good like retreat bag, but it's a little too small. It's really more of a size of a project bag, but it has a flat bottom. And so I had always, I wanted her to make a bigger one. There's a larger pattern just called the Poppins Bag. This one I think is called the Little Poppins Bag. but then there's a bigger version and an even more gigantic version too. So this one, there's just a little story. Of course, there always is with me, but this one, she made one for me, one for herself, and one for another friend of ours who we always had birthdays and stuff together. And that friend, up until earlier this year, lived in Mesa, Arizona, and I would stay with her when I would go down to the attic for Sampler Symposium. Anyway, we all picked out our own fabrics, and Jeannie put them together for us and made these Poppins bags. So I asked Jeannie if she would make me the bigger one, and she said, of course. And so we were going to meet up at Quilter Station to choose fabric. And I had some real specific fabrics in mind for mine, because the one that she made for our friend who lives in Arizona, I didn't see it because this friend in Arizona, Jeannie, made her bag. She had picked out those fabrics, and it was in Arizona. So I never did see what she made for my friend until I was down there in January. And I said, oh my God, I want a bag made exactly like that, but the bigger one. And so I talked to Jeannie about that, and she said, well, sure, we got all those fabrics at Quilter Station. So let's meet up there and get the fabrics, and then I can just take them home and make your bag for you. So I collected the materials. These Poppins bags have a metal like frame so that when you open them, they stay open, and they use like some tubing, plumber's stiff tubing in here, and really stiff interfacing. So I collected all the materials for her so that she would have that and could just get started once we got the fabrics. So we get to Quilter Station, and we're looking around for the fabrics that I wanted, especially the main body fabric, and we could not find it. And I was so disappointed. We found the lining fabric. We didn't find the binding fabric either. So we got on the internet while we're standing in Quilter Station and talking. And I'll show you the bag. Hang on. It's going to be worth the wait. Anyway, we got on the internet and we're looking, because I had photographs of my friend's bag. And we're looking, and we found the two other fabrics. I found the lining at Quilter Station. The other two fabrics that we needed, I got like a remnant from a fabric place somewhere here in the United States. But the only body fabric we could find was at a fabric store in Australia. And so I thought, oh man, it's in Australia. And Jeannie said, well, we can order it. She has a daughter that lives in Australia. She was like within a month of us doing that, she was going to be going to visit that daughter. And she said, let's just order it. I'll have it sent to my daughter. And then when I'm over there, I'll just pick it up. So the bag I'm about to show you is a compilation of a lot of things, but the fabric came from Australia. So anyway. Da-da-da-da. Now it's enormous. Especially here where I'm sitting so close to the camera. But isn't that fabric amazing? It's out of print now. I can't even tell you who it is, but look at that. So this one looks really enormous as I'm sitting here. It's about... The dimensions say it's 14 inches tall and 18 wide. It's a little bit taller. It's like 14 up to, if I show you it at the side, you can see that it starts to curve. So it's about 14 inches to this curve, and then has a couple more. So it's really about 16 or 17 inches tall. And the base is pretty wide. Like I said, it looks enormous here. In real life, it's big, but not enormous. I want to show you the lining fabric. The handles have this kind of teal color, which if you've hung around with me, you know it's one of my favorites. But, ooh, look at that. Pink. That came from Quilter Station. Again, I don't know who these fabrics were by. But this will be an amazing retreat bag. is substantial, and like I said, it has a metal frame here so that it opens, it's hinged, so it's open and stays open, or closed and stays closed, and then you've got the zipper too. And Jeannie made some really pretty little bows on the zipper ends. There are pockets on the outside, both sides, and there are pockets on the inside too. And when she gave me this last week, she brought it up to me. I spent the day or the afternoon with her, and she brought one of her sisters with her. And she gave this to me. I said, oh my gosh, it's perfect. And you know why it's perfect? And I ran into my studio and I picked out this black hard shell case that I have. And I said, because this will fit in it. I realized later, Jeannie doesn't know what's in that case. She's like, sure, good. I'm glad you're happy with it, Jackie. But what's in that case is my Halo Go light that I use at stitching retreats. And I have it in kind of a hard case, zippered case. It's the size, a lot of you all have those that computer keyboard fits into. And so that'll fit right down in the bottom of this. And my travel Stitchy box will fit in this, and several project bags will fit in this. And it is soft. I mean, it's, it doesn't have to be as enormous as it is standing up, but I am so pleased with this. But OMG, that fabric. And it's deep, deep brown and beautiful pink and blue florals on that. So that one is the, just called the Poppins Bag. Like I said, there's a bigger one even than that from the way the description reads, you can actually fit a sewing machine in. I think a small sewing machine would probably fit in that, quite honestly. But they're beautiful bags. And, if you have somebody in your life, you're a sewer, or you have someone in your life who would love a bag, that would be a really good Christmas gift for someone too. Or just an amazing out of the blue, let me make this bag for you gift. So, but speaking of Christmas gifts, I was gifted again, and I'm not sponsored. I'm just going to tell you, I've talked in the past about a small candle company called Lit Brit Candles. A guy named David, who is British but lives in Washington State now. He makes amazing candles. And he has my very, very favorite scent. It's a candle called Calligraphy. I've shown it to you before. Some of you have purchased it before, and I'm telling you, for a small business, David was so grateful for that, because he's just a one-man show, trying to get his business off the ground. And you guys who purchased calligraphy candles after I showed them, you made a huge difference in his life. I'm just going to say the exposure just here on FlossTube made a huge difference in his life. And as a gift to me, when I reordered a calligraphy candle, because I'd finally burned through mine and I ordered another one, he sent me a couple of his winter scents. So I wanted to just share those with you, just in case you're looking for a good winter candle. I don't know about you, but I like to burn a candle especially at this time of year, for the light, but for the scent too, it's a good time. Some people burn candles year round. I'm not so much one of those year round people, but I do love a good candle in winter. So the first one he sent me is called Winter Spice. And this one, he has beautiful glass jars that he puts his candles in. This one has a little bit of pine in it and cinnamon. And let's see if he says anything else. No, this one's just burning instructions on it. Crystallized ginger, cozy warm blend, amaretto. Now that I see that or read that, yeah, I can smell the almondy in it, but it's very soft. His candles have good fragrance, but they're not overpowering. I'm sensitive to overly scented things. Like I can't use scented lotions or have highly scented soaps or stuff, but his candles don't bother me. And this other one he sent me was called Blitzen's Breath. Isn't that funny? I love the labels he's got on these. Beautiful graphics. This one says peppermint, carrot, and evergreen. And these are all soy wax blend. And you smell all that. Peppermint, evergreen for sure. Maybe the carrot adds a little sweetness to it. This one I've been burning already. It's really nice. So, Blitzen's Breath. So anyway, I like to support small businesses, people who are really trying to do good things and make quality gifts and quality things using thoughtful. He's a thoughtful guy. He's written me a couple of notes now, just keeping in touch with me. Anyway, I just really appreciate his candles, and I wanted to share those Christmas ones with you because maybe you want some too. Again, I'm not sponsored. I just want to support somebody who has a small business that they're trying to get going. Oh, anyway, that's Lit Brit Candles, and I'll put David's information below. So I have one more thing for you. I have a giveaway. So as I mentioned before, I'm getting pretty close to 10,000 subscribers. And for, I think, anybody who is on social media, that's kind of a milestone. But for me, I was going to be happy with 20 subscribers. I had no idea the message, the things that I share would resonate as they have with so many people. And so I'm going to have a giveaway when that actually happens. So it's not yet. I can see it, but not yet. But I want to give something today just because it's the time of giving. We just have had Thanksgiving. We've got the holiday. And I reached out to my friend Mary Englebright. I worked for her. We still keep in touch. And I asked for her to send me something that I could give away. And she knows that I cross-stitch. She has cross-stitch charts. But what she sent me, I just let her decide what she wanted to send me. And she sent me a book. It's an embroidery book that has not been released yet. So this is a pre-release copy. It's called Garden of Stitches, 30 Floral Embroidery Patterns to Brighten Your Day. And this is an autographed copy of this book. And it has, so most of this looks like outline stitch. There's some daisy chain, French knots, satin stitch. It's all flowers. So really good for spring, or maybe if in the coming months you're longing for spring, this would be a great thing to have for some projects. And she also sent me this cute little cottage needle minder. So this is a giveaway for you. In the comments, in your comments, use the word garden. And please be over 18 because I will need your mailing address. Please be a subscriber. And I am opening this to everybody. I know I have a lot of international supporters, so I want everybody to have the opportunity to have this. So use the word garden in your comment. Please don't use the word giveaway or prize or anything like that, so we don't attract any bots, but I'm going to give you something. And then I'll have another thing for the future. So with that said, I'm going to wind down now. I will have a little slideshow, like I said, but I just want to have pause with kind of a closing thought. Many of you know Brenda of Brenda and the Cereal Starter. She posted, reposted a Facebook post that she had seen that kind of, it's a piece of writing, inspirational writing, that sort of embodies the way a lot of us feel about stitching and what it means to us. And so I went back and found that original post on Facebook that Brenda reposted, and I want to share that with you today as we close out. This was written by a woman named Amy Brogman. She has a Facebook page called Amy Brogman Sew and Quilt. So she's a sewer. But this inspirational quote applies to all of us, no matter what sort of needlework that you do. And so here's what I want to leave you with today. There's something magical about creating with your hands. The hum of a sewing machine, the feel of fabric beneath your fingertips, and the rhythm of each stitch that brings your vision to life. Sewing isn't just about fabric and thread. It's about weaving pieces of yourself into something beautiful and meaningful. Every creation holds your patience, your emotions, and your love, turning simple materials into reflections of your spirit. It's not an addiction if it brings you peace. It's not an obsession if it helps you find balance. This is your art, your therapy, and your way of grounding yourself in a noisy world. Each project becomes a quiet reminder that beauty takes time, that growth comes from practice, and that fulfillment lives in the process, not just the finished piece. So keep sewing, keep dreaming, and keep creating the life you love, one stitch, one spark of inspiration, one masterpiece at a time. Because what you make with love will always make you whole. So thank you so much for being with me today. As always, I enjoy these times together so much. I do plan on being back probably right before the end of the year, but it will be after Christmas. So I hope you have a wonderful holiday season, whatever holiday you celebrate or not. Please know that there are others with you in spirit at this time and at all times. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Namaste. And we'll have a little slideshow now of the last Stitch With Me day at Florilegium. See you next time. Bye-bye.